what I want you to know is that type 2 diabetes is not a disease of sugar. Okay, it is a disease of communication. Now, you can reduce sugar all day long, and sugar is sugar, and sugar is a culprit. Okay, it really does cause tons of inflammation in the body. And when inflammation is present in the body, sugar is the fuel to the fire. Okay, and sugar will keep your insulin levels going in this up and down motion, but you can't blame everything on sugar. We have to look and see how are our cells, allowing our body to communicate. And insulin is a key. Think of that as like it's a key to a door. Okay, and the key of insulin, that key comes in and it unlocks the cell of your body so sugar can go inside. But when inflammation is high, that key stops to work. Another thing that can cause that key not to work is a mineral imbalance. And if your minerals are low in your body and it has allowed calcium to increase, we have this cell, okay? And this cell has to be able to communicate with those tools in your body. And one of those tools, like I've said, is insulin as a key. Now, we could replace the word insulin with any other hormone, such as your thyroid, your estrogen, your progesterone. So if you're having hormonal problems, if you're having pain, if you're having diabetes trouble, you can think of that all in the same manner as, is this absorbing in my body? Is it able to work at a cellular level? So if this cell is covered with inflammation, then those hormones such as insulin are coming and bouncing off the cell. If that calcium is high, then it creates what we call a calcium shell. It is basically like having a calcium shell around the cell and nothing's able to get into that cell. So you need this cell to be able to properly bring in and accept the communication from insulin and other hormones. So I know I've just had some people join. Welcome. I was trying to get you in here sooner and there must have been a connection issue, but I'm so glad that I was able to bring you back in. So what happens when insulin is the key and it stops working and the pancreas is trying really, really hard, but your cells are ignoring the pancreas signals. And you start to feel exhausted, foggy, inflamed, puffy, thirsty, hungry. Like there's just so many symptoms going on in your body. And you're like, what's going on? Well, at this time, your body has insulin resistance. And we hear that a ton right now because there's a lot of what I would call experimental therapies around insulin resistance right now, because what does insulin resistance cause in the body? It causes people to gain weight. Okay, it causes, the way that we can explain insulin resistance is a lot of times it's hidden by inflammation. Our stress hormones, such as cortisol can be completely out of balance. I see women every day with extremely high cortisol when they try to go to sleep, so they can't fall asleep. And then when they fall asleep, they're not staying asleep. And y'all, sleep is the most crucial thing for you and your body. Sleep is where your hormones and insulin repair. Okay, so if you're not sleeping and if you don't have a sleep routine, that would be the first thing I tell you to walk away from today to change, is to incorporate a sleep routine. But then toxins, okay, if your body is full of toxins, how are they getting out? Are toxins overwhelming your body? Does your body have poor liver function? Our liver is that filtration system of the body. Are those the mineral deficiencies there that I talked about that creates that shell around the cell so nothing can come in and communicate? And what's happening in the gut? Our digestive enzymes are critical for insulin and for diabetics, okay? Critical. So if you are deficient in digestive enzymes, you're going to have a really hard time working that uphill battle to take care of your type 2 diabetes or to prohibit you from going down that road. I have a lot of people who are like, hey, I still want to be there, so I want to learn all I can about this. I have people who are already have been told they're type 2 diabetic. And one thing I want to tell you about cortisol is there is really an adverse reaction against cortisol and A1C. So in 2019, my daughter was actually told she was pre-diabetic. And at this time, I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Has she, what has caused her basically at such a young age? And we are so extremely careful on our food and our intake. She is a kid, so she, of course, would eat sugar, go to friends' houses. But it scared me, to be honest with you, because I already explained the route my brother took and was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and was extremely dependent on insulin if he did not eat right. But now, as long as he ate right, he was not dependent on that. And even type 1 diabetes, I have a client who has reduced her insulin intake from 37 units to 26 units just in a matter of weeks. Okay, so your dependency can actually even change with type 1 diabetes. But back in 2019, my daughter was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And I was like, I'm so confused. And we immediately started checking her blood sugar before and after every meal to see how food was impacting her blood sugar. And it was not impacting her blood sugar. Her blood sugar really sat at a low, lower than what's normal. It wasn't, never really hit 90. And I sat there and I monitored it. And, so she did have some what I would call improper management of blood sugar. And that's one thing that I know is very hereditary, like I mentioned for you, hypoglycemia tendencies if we don't eat right. So I took her to Panera Bread and she got a bread bowl with soup, which was not normally what we would eat. And it got to about 120. Okay. So here we are monitoring her blood sugar, and even this extremely heavy carb load got her to 120 only. And so, reporting this back to the doctor, and at this time I call a functional medicine friend of mine and she's like, well, have you ran her hormone labs? And I said, no, I haven't, but I will. So we did the saliva hormone test on her, which includes cortisol. And, my friend's like, I really think she may have the low cortisol, which triggers a false high A1C. And sure enough, it came back and her cortisol was rock bottom. So, we needed to focus there. We need to focus on some cortisol management. And at the time she was playing a lot of extreme sports, also hitting puberty. And we, just needed to refocus. And sometimes we need these test results to tell us where to focus our time and energy. But me focusing time and energy on pricking the finger of a child before and after every meal was not where I had needed to focus the time or energy, nor put that stress on her and her body when her cortisol is already under stress. So there are a lot of factors that play into this when we're looking at what is causing the spiral spin in our body. And what I want you to do is to learn how to take that emotional weight of a diagnosis off your mind. One of my favorite phrases is don't dwell on the diagnosis. Now, the diagnosis can give us a lot of stuff to look up from Dr. Google, right? As soon as we get the diagnosis, we Google it. As soon as my son was diagnosed with mast cell activation, I had never heard of it before, but the first thing Dr. Google sent me to was leukemia, because there is mast cell activation leukemia. And the first thing I did was freak out, right? And he did not have the leukemia side of it, although he did have some white blood cell counts off, and everything just had my mind spiral spinning. And I'm sure emotionally, it's very easy for all of us to get into that point when what we're doing is Googling a diagnosis. But what I want you to keep doing is asking the question, why? Why is my body in this state? What has gotten me here? And pause and keep asking why. Okay. Why is her A1C high? Why is it that the body is not responding appropriately? Why is it that blood sugar is not regulating? Is my body not absorbing nutrients? Am I nutrient deficient? Are my minerals, my basic minerals, too low, which are causing my calcium levels to be too high? And I've got improper cellular communication. Is my blood sugar metabolism not right? Is blood sugar utilization not working right because I have these underlying factors in my body that are blocking the system from working appropriately? And become empowered, okay? Because a diagnosis can feel like a punch in the gut. It can make you feel like you're hopeless, and it can make you feel betrayed, like your body's not working for you. Because I even have best friends that still eat at McDonald's weekly, and they can do it, and they can feel great, and they can smile. And on their way home from soccer, that is good for them because it takes 5 minutes and their family is home and there's no stress around food. And I don't understand it, okay? And I could feel like this is completely unfair. I would love to have nothing less than a 5-minute solution, but I don't want to eat McDonald's, and so I don't care. It's like I don't want that, and I can get in that place sometimes. And I just know that is so unhealthy for our family. Looking back, there's no way in the world that I can't even fathom where my son would be if I had not taken drastic measures. And I want you to know that help and healing is there for you too.